we have achieved full compatibility with both eWasm EVM and CosmWasm on the same Cosmos SDK chain. Both EVM and CosmWasm standards are plugins for our WasmX engine. WasmX can execute WebAssembly modules. In the last demo video, we have shown something that no one else has: EVM transactions from both Ethereum wallets and Kepler, and CosmWasm transactions from both Ethereum wallets and Kepler. Today we are moving another leap ahead, and you will see a simple atomic swap contract written in Solidity that can swap a CosmWasm CW20 token on an ERC20 token. And this is happening on the same chain. And this means that you can have both ecosystems of EVM and CosmWasm interacting on the same chain, or as we call them, CosmWasmX, EVM WasmX. This means contracts can call across the other engine, and this is unrestricted composability: queries, transactions, and dependent transactions. In other words, contracts written in Solidity can interact with contracts written in Rust or AssemblyScript. I have a local setup here, a local Mythos chain that is running, and I have already deployed the ERC20 contract through Remix. And we see that we have connected through MetaMask's injected provider. So MetaMask is connected to this local network here, and also our Kepler is connected to a local network. And on this network we have deployed an ERC20 token and an atomic swap contract. So this chain, even though it is a Cosmos SDK chain, supports the basic JSON RPC from Ethereum. And in this atomic swap contract that we can see here, what we are doing is we are registering tokens like this ERC20 token, but also like the CosmWasm CW20 token. We are registering them by address and by interface type. And the interface type can be either of type EVM or of type JSON. So the type EVM is actually ABI encoding that Ethereum has, and the type JSON is specific to CosmWasm contracts. And then this atomic swap contract will use the interface type in order to know how to do the token transfers when tokens are swapped. For example, the create function creates a swap and also transfers the first batch of tokens. And if the interface is EVM, it just does a transfer from, for this example, I had to align the standards from the ERC20 contract and the CW20 contract from CosmWasm. So they need to have the same function name and input arguments and output arguments names. So I am just calling the transfer from function from the ERC20 token, and I have the interface defined here. And for the CosmWasm interface, I am using a proxy, and I am going to forward by this proxy the call to the CosmWasm contract, because I am actually giving the arguments in ABI encoding and then saying what function I need called. This proxy is actually a precompile that knows how to, in this case, how to decode ABI encoded arguments and then re-encode them to JSON. And this is possible for contracts that have registered their ABIs with the chain, which is possible on Mythos. I also deployed a CosmWasm CW20 contract, and this is a dApp where you can put in the JSON schema of the contract, of the CosmWasm contract, and you will get an interface for that contract. and we see all the methods for transactions and all the methods for queries. And I have already made the transaction to approve spending. So using the increase allowance method, I approved spending for the atomic swap contract, and I gave an amount, and this is the BEC32 encoded address of the atomic swap. And I already made this transaction here. I did the same thing for the ERC20 contract. I approved spending for the atomic swap contract. So both accounts that I'm working with have given permission to the atomic swap contract to transfer their tokens according to the swap protocol. And what I need to do next is register each token in the atomic swap contract and state their interface type. So let's register the ERC20 contract. We'll just copy the address from here. And the interface type that we need is 1. And we can make this transaction with our MetaMask account. And then we also register the CW20 contract, and we'll copy the hex formatted address. And the interface type will be 2. Now let's see some token balances. Now our Kepler account, and I will copy the address here and then do a transformation and get the hex address. And this is the account that should have an ERC20 token balance. So we'll set this account here, and we have 10,000 tokens. If we check our MetaMask account, we have 0 ERC20 tokens, but we can check our balance for the CW20 contract, and we need the BEC32 encoded address, and this is our balance for the MetaMask account on the CW20 contract. Our Kepler contract doesn't have a balance in the CosmWasm token, so it's 0. Now that I've showed you the setup, we can go ahead and create a swap, and we will use Remix and our MetaMask account, which has CosmWasm CW20 tokens. So let's name it swap 1. It expires never. Okay. And then let's put the source balances. This is what token will the sender's account give. So I need to I will give 100 tokens of the type CW20. So I'm copying the address from for the CW20 contract here, and the target balance should be an ERC20 token. So we want to exchange our CW20 for an ERC20 contract. Again, 100. So we are making this transaction. The transaction was fulfilled, so we can actually take this transaction hash and go into our Explorer for our local chain. This is a Cosmos SDK Explorer, and it has another format for this transaction. So what I need to do is just remove this 0x and then make it uppercase. So now we're going to copy this, paste it here, and we have our transaction that creates the swap. And now we can go back and look at the balances. So after this swap, we can expect that 100 CW20 tokens have been moved to the atomic swap contract. So we are going to copy this address and go back to our CW20 dApp. And first get the BEC32 encoded address, place it here, and we have 100 tokens. Now, we should have 100 tokens less for our MetaMask account. So let's see. Yeah, and we have right now 999 and with 100 tokens less. And now we can fulfill the swap. And for this, because we need to do it with our Kepler account, I will use our Remix plugin. So this plugin was set to use the ERC20 contract. This is where we did the first approved transaction, but I need to use it on the atomic swap contract. So what I'm going to do is I compiled the atomic swap contract, and now we can see it here and we can use it. Let's go back here and copy its address, go to the plugin, fill in the address, and now if we write down swap1 here, we can fulfill using our Kepler wallet. So we are approving this, and what happens after this transaction is executed, and we can see it here, we can again get the transaction hash and search for it, and we get the transaction here. Also all the events that happened. And because this is an EVM contract, the atomic swap, we have a transaction of type eWasm, and so on. So now we should expect the swap to be fulfilled. So if we go back to our ERC20 interface here, we should expect ERC20 tokens for our MetaMask address. Now we have them, and we can expect CosmWasm CW20 tokens on our Kepler address. And we have them. So the swap has been done. If you are an interested developer, you are invited on our Discord to get tokens and play with this.